And let's talk about it right now. We are AT&T. I'm Courtney with Cowboys Nation.
What is up? Welcome to another edition of Tag Nation. You know, we were on a little vacation, had some R&R. Now we got to come back to reality. We're going to get to Jimmy a little bit because I know he's upset. But before we get started, you guys make sure like, subscribe, share. You know, leave a comment. If we're not touching on a topic you want us to talk about, you know, chime in. We want to be interactive. But probably a little rusty for the week off. Not a lot of news. But before I do get started, you can look over my shoulder. I did mention it, but I want to say it one more time. I mentioned it on Twitter. You know, cuts by Jones, Fred Jones. I met him out at a game. Great guy. He does some really cool work, and he did a kind of, you know, took a picture, made a nice carving of my family at our first game together, the whole clan together at AT&T. So it was a lot of fun. So I want to give him another shout out of appreciation. It's beautiful. The pictures don't do it justice. I know it doesn't, it's hard to see it in the cave, but it's there. It'll be there permanently. So make sure we get it going. But Jimmy, I know you were on vacation. You had a little business vacation trip. And unfortunately, you know, I got to start with some bad news. You know, we all watched the game at Tampa and the Rangers. You guys were up 2-0. I know the tweets were coming. That's how you take control of the match. Game 3, you guys, I believe, were up two goals in the third period. I think you guys went on as the only team to be up 2-0, 2-goal lead in the third period, to lose that game and then get swept. So I'm not trying to pour salt on the wound, but I would ask you a couple things. Is this compared to the Atlanta Falcon New England game, or not so much because it won the Stanley Cup? But I know it had to be heartbreaking. I think you were dancing in the streets after that 2-0 lead. What's your thoughts, man? Let us know how Ranger Nation feels.
Well, you know, first I'll say it doesn't compare to the Falcons collapse, because the Falcons collapse was just horrible coaching calls, right? Bad off. Why we relinquished things to Shanahan, throwing the ball up 28-3 is beyond me. So no comparison, right? So you're right. We're up 2 games to none. We're up 2-0. And then what happens? There's a stupid penalty, right? We take a stupid penalty. What happens next? The Lightning score. And then we let them off the hook. Try not to shed a tear here, man. I'm telling you. So Vasilevsky, you know, they win. They come back, score late, 40 seconds left. And then what do we say early? I told you a couple weeks ago, the ace in the hole is Vasilevsky getting hot, which he did. Okay. So, I mean, he just went off the last 4 in a row.
Yeah. And you think the 2-0 lead, all right, you lose the game. It was in Tampa. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was in Tampa. It was. So you're still up 2-1. You still have, you know, home ice advantage, right? So not all is lost. But did you think that loss, the way it happened, just sucked the energy, sucked the life out of the Rangers, just because it was so heartbreaking and maybe they just couldn't recover from that?
No, I think well, it was a heartbreaker, I'll say that. But look, we were still up 2-1. And at the end of the day, when you get a hot goaltender, you know, we've talked about it in the past, that's what happens. Vasilevsky got hot. We couldn't score. I mean, he was stopping everything in sight, making sick-ass saves, and there's nothing you're going to do about that. When you get a hot goaltender, that's what happens. And you get back to, we're a team that was 2 years ahead on rebuilding, right? And I know I've been talking a lot of shit. It's all good. You know, that's how you take control of the match. I'm proud of the team. We made it much further. Most people didn't even think we make the playoffs, right? Made the playoffs, went deep, Eastern Conference Finals. And, you know, we're 2 seasons ahead of our rebuild, and we hit a hot goalie. And Tampa Bay has experience, and we don't. Yeah. Tampa Bay knows how to win.
And going for, you know, I don't know if it's unprecedented. You're the hockey expert, but I mean, just the hockey that I know, very rarely do you see teams go back-to-back, but I don't know many that have gone three-peat in modern history. I know back in the day when there was like 8 teams or something, maybe teams went on big runs, but the only team that can come to mind would be the Detroit Red Wings. Maybe it might have been late 90s, early 2000s, something like that. I just recall them having a pretty big run.
It could have been Detroit, and ironically, it was Detroit and Colorado beating each other up back in the late '90s. I think they only won 2 in a row. That might be wrong. That I know who won 3 in a row, won 4 in a row is Edmonton back in the '80s.
Way back.
But Detroit, and if somebody's out there, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Detroit won 2 out of 3 seasons, if I remember correctly, in the 96, 97 era about then.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, we collapsed. The Lightning beat us, and that's just the way it is.
Well, and I can relate a little bit, except that I think, like you said, you were more the rebuilding to where, let's say Dallas's season last year, we were expected, you're expected to win, and you're 12-5, you go in the playoffs, and then you lay an egg for 3 quarters, and it just, for me, it takes away any positive part of the season, because you had so much to work for. So we're probably on a different side to where, you guys weren't expected to go far. You did. You're up 2-0 in the finals. You had an opportunity. You slipped through, but maybe you still leave feeling pretty good about the season. Maybe, like you said, you seem to be pretty positive about your future going forward to where, with Dallas, the way that we lost, and if you're a team that's up there, then you lose, and it kind of really – it sucks the life out of the season and kind of makes you feel disappointed. Leaves a bad taste in your mouth going until next season.
Well, as we stutter-stepped, dropped the ball, right? But, it's a catch-22, because now that we were up 2-0 and we had it and we tasted it, that's the tough part. So, I feel great. We went further than anybody thought. But, when you're that close and you blow it, that's tough. But,
the one thing I did see, and I hope it's not representative of the great New York Rangers family, and I didn't get the full tape of it, but I saw a pretty cheap shot.
Yes,
that a Ranger took on a Lightning fan. Maybe he was hooting and hollering after the game, but I'm always one of if you dish it out, you got to be able to take it.
Yes,
and if and I've had to do the walk of shame. At AT&T, believe me, at the 49er playoff game, there's a lot of moments that you'd love to knock someone out. But, if your team loses and the team's there, they have the right to run their mouth. They just the Bronco game I went to, there was probably more Bronco fans there than there were Cowboys fans. And it made that walk home even longer. And especially with my nephew there, I had to stare at him with his Bronco jersey on, made it worse. So I'm not a big. I hate to see the fighting. That I think it was a cheap shot. It's a I have a word for it, but I won't because we're on a family show.
That's right.
But it was a blank move, and I just you hate to see that because it makes all the Rangers fans come across bad, and I know that there's a hell of a lot more great Rangers fans than there are bad ones.
Look, it was a sucker punch. I don't care how drunk the guy was. You don't do that. This isn't Philadelphia. I don't want to have any of that kind of bad press against us or make us look bad, So it was ridiculous. And guess what? He got thrown in jail. He's banned from MSG. He's banned from, so good. He's gone. We take care of business. Unlike Philadelphia, who puts up with that crap and encourages it. Dump of the city encourages that sort of thing.
And Jimmy, we like I said, you and I got to be able to take it. We're people. We're men of the people, and we love our fans and our subscribers. And it seems we got a comment. It said the Rangers stink. Another collapse by one of Jimmy's teams. Maybe who might have said something like that, but it's you got to take it, I guess.
Yeah, Danny. What are your teams doing, bro? We already talked about him. He loves to run his mouth every week. We invited him on the show countless times, on the air and off the air. And what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago? I'll come on next week. Where are you, Danny? You're hiding. You're hiding by the keyboard. It's a keyboard tough guy.
Yeah, he's probably back there drinking, maybe has some of them beer muscles, behind the keyboard.
That's no, he's got his one hand on the typewriter on the keyboard and the other hand somewhere else, and we'll leave it at that because it's a PG-13 show.
But it is what it is, and so jumping, unless there's anything you want to touch on, Ray, but really, this is where I need your expert opinion. We're jumping into the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm not a hockey expert. That's why we got you here. So, so it's Tampa and Colorado. Hopefully, I got that right.
Yes, you did.
Colorado swept. Was it Edmonton?
Yeah.
And then so you got Tampa. Handled their business. They've actually looked really good against the Panthers, and then win 4 straight against New York. So it's going to be interesting going for that three-peat. Give us the tale of the tape. What is your expectations of this series starting, I believe, Wednesday night?
Well, first off, Tampa Bay, I don't like them. We're going to play ball with them. You know why? Because I can't stand the Avalanche. They crowned the Avalanche months ago, but guess what? Tampa Bay, you got to go take care of your business because the Avs are coming to all that hype. Want to make them look bad. So that being said, I am room for the Lightning, first off. So in fairness, that's where my heart is. Okay. I can't stand the Avalanche. They've been all over their jock for, most of the season, despite how well the Panthers were playing. They were the best team in the league. All you heard about all year was the Avalanche. Yes, they swept Edmonton, who has the best player on the planet, Connor McDavid, who affectionately known as Connor McJesus, because the guy's a phenom. So what works best right now? Vasilevsky on a hot streak, just coming off a hot streak on Saturday? Or the Avs going to have 9 days off? What trumps what, right?
Yeah.
So it's tough, especially knowing that. Well, first off, we'll start by saying this: the Avalanche have a question mark at goaltender because their starting goalie Darcy Kemper got hurt. He's gotten hurt twice in the playoffs, and they had Pascal Francouz backup came in and played well the final 3 games of the Edmonton series. So I don't even know who they're going to start yet. I've read things and I don't know who they're going to start. So they have a little goalie controversy, and the Lightning have who they have, best goalie on the planet. So I think that if this Vasilevsky keeps this up, Tampa Bay could win. It's going to be tough. Colorado was a great team all season. They got a lot of firepower. I mean, they're steamrolling teams in the playoffs. It's crazy the amount of goals they're scoring.
Oh, is that? Yeah, I remember one of the games. It was like 9 goals or 8 goals, or something like that. It's going to be interesting. I know, living in Tampa, the hype is real. I mean, the fans are pumped up
for good reason.
And hey, I'll ride the wagon as long as I can. A couple Stanley Cup Finals. I'll give me a Tampa shirt or something. Get a championship. I'm waiting too long for Dallas. You know how that goes. So it'll be interesting. But I was looking at tickets just to see how they compare. I mean, nosebleed seats are running about $1,000. To get to the game, and hockey is. I mean, in Tampa. It's kind of surprising because a lot of people, football is king. But if you live in this area, football is king in college. Florida, Florida State, Miami down south. But if Tampa Bay, when they don't win, when they didn't have Brady, I mean, there's no one going to the game. You couldn't give tickets away.
That's right.
Hockey, the Lightning have always sold out. It's always been a tough ticket to get. So. Hockey's gotten really big here, and you got a lot of Midwest influence in Tampa, the transit's coming down and stuff. So hockey's big time here. I know a lot of people joke of, the Florida teams in playoffs and this and that, and it's, because it's a northern sport. But I mean, Tampa's fan base and their passion for the game, it's no joke.
Well, Wayne Gretzky going to LA decades ago is what really brought hockey south. Now, the biggest move with the NHL, and we'll get back to the series specifically in just a second. The biggest thing that happened in hockey, because if you recall, they had a big TV contract a while ago, 15 years ago. Then, what happens when you have 2 lockouts inside of 7 years? That's going to cause a problem. So they ended up on, some BS network, then NBC Sports. But if you look at the ratings this year between ESPN and the Turner Sports, TNT, they and now ABC is going to handle the Stanley Cup Finals. The ratings have been 2- and 3-fold. I mean, you're watching on cable TV where, the conference finals for the NHL are number 1 in the ratings on non-NBA nights, right? That's a pretty good deal. So,
well, I said it before, hockey's a great sport to watch live. TV, what I would say on the TV side of it is it's fast. There's not a lot of timeouts, so it's really action packed. You got those intermissions where you get a break. Where football is, and I love going to games. I'm a season ticket holder. I try and make as many Cowboy games as I can. Football lends itself to TV. It's a great TV sport.
Yes.
But there's the excitement of going to a hockey game live. If you're not a hockey fan, just go to a game. I mean, you're going to have a great time, and it's action packed. I definitely, after that one game, I've talked to my family. We definitely want to try and hit some more games next year.
You got to hit some of those playoff games.
Hey.
I
got to save my money for the Cowboys. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen their tickets ain't too cheap. I think Jerry had a little hike in the ticket prices this year. I didn't notice because I moved my seat, so I don't know what they were the year before. But I saw a lot of people in Cowboys Nation talking about the ticket hike. So it is not cheap to go to a Cowboys game for sure. So I gotta budget my money accordingly. It makes I only got so much dollars allocated for sports entertainment. Speaking of, I've got to get my tickets to the Jaguar game. Dallas is playing in Jacksonville, so it's only about a 3.5-4 hour drive. So
easy.
I got to start looking at my seats. So anyone in Cowboys Nation, if you're going to the game and you got sections that you're going to be in or any ideas, let me know because I got to start scouting my tickets to get things going. So
and remember the other big Cowboys news we talked about. We will be Tag Nation.
We are going to be in Chicago, so we are going to be making things happen as well. So we got it. I'm gonna give this question to Jimmy. So we got a first time listener with a hockey question. So what are you talking about here?
Well, first off, I mean that's a good one. You got me on that one. You got me.
We're trying to raise money to get that background. I'm begging and pleading for him to do something.
Well,
it started out as a joke, has turned into a nightmare.
Well, if you are a first time listener for real and you're not somebody trolling, through the forbidden curtain over here is all my stuff, and I'm not moving this whole thing out there, moving all that in here just for you. Okay, so you can like that. Yeah, Kucherov and Stamkos. I mean, what do you have? You have Kucherov has like 20, 22 points in 17 playoff games this playoff series this year. Stamkos experience. I mean, look, he had 2 goals the other night to beat us. But what do you have on the other side? Nathan McKinnon. You have Cale Makar, who's possibly the best defenseman in the league, playing for the Avs. But I got back to what I said before. If Vasilevsky's on fire, that's going to make all the difference in the world. Look what he did to us. We went through the first 2 games steamrolling, and then he just shut us down.
Well, what I'm more interested in is this Craig James, the running back for the New England Patriots? Part of an SMU with Eric Dickerson. I'm just wondering maybe that's the Craig James I know.
Yeah. Come to think of it, yeah,
but
good
no,
call.
I appreciate it, and the man knows. His background looks great. If you're a Cowboys fan, if you're not a Cowboy fan, you shut up because it still looks great, right?
Hey, Craig James, by the way. So Mike and I have a little we have an idea we talked about a couple weeks ago on the show. Every time the Falcons win a game this season, I'm going to add something back here. So hopefully it's full by the end of the season.
What he's saying is it's still going to be pretty bare.
You can shut your mouth.
Let's jump to the NBA Finals. I think it's been a great finals, so far. It's you got the series 2-2. I think we talked about it before. I told you about my buddy's he's a basketball expert, and I asked him before the series. I said, "What do you think?" He said he was taking anybody who would bet him. He's got the Celtics who would take the bets. He was jumping all over it, and the Celtics. I mean, it's been a pretty good series so far.
Ooh.
It's gone back and forth. Obviously, Game 5 is always a pivotal game.
Yes.
So it's a swing game. You go up 3-2. It's kind of hard to win 2 in a row. Some teams have done it, but not many. What's your expert opinion on this?
I mean, let's talk about Draymond Green first of all. That whole debacle. I mean, first of all, and I give him credit. He took the blame on himself for Game 3 because of the distractions with his podcast. First of all, he must be stupid to sit there and compare the physical play in today's NBA game versus the 80s and the 90s. And you're going to start picking fights with Robert Parrish and all. That was stupid. A big distraction. It was kind of fun. I was laughing. I mean, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
But, from a serious standpoint, a big distraction. And I'm glad he fessed up because it did cost him Game 3. They're worried about everything but the game.
Yeah.
You have Steph Curry. I mean, he went off the other night. Remember, they were talking about he's hurt. I think they're sandbagging the injury report. He dropped 43 with some late 3-pointers. I mean, he's been going off on 3-pointers, but he put the dagger in the hearts of Celtics fans the other night in Boston.
That was a tough loss. That was a tough loss for them to have. I mean, that hurt.
Well, and another thing too, I don't want to lay it all on Draymond Green. Klay Thompson, I mean, he's been scoring some points and 3-pointers, but his field goal percentage is not good. He's been ineffective at times. Jason Tatum, same thing. Excuse me. Jason Tatum, same thing for the Celtics. He's been inconsistent, streaky. And streaky. So it's tough to call. I mean, at this stage, if Curry keeps playing like this, and Tatum disappeared the other night in the fourth quarter, right? If this continues, if Steph Curry, whoever wins tonight's going to take it, and I think it's going to be Golden State, and I think they're going to take the next two. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Then they'd close it out in Boston, which it leads me to what some conversations that have been going around, and I think I've been on record. There's always a comparison, LeBron, to Jordan. I'll always take Jordan, and I think it's generational. I think my kids are going to be arguing with their kids. Yeah. Is it LeBron or is it whoever the next great player is in that era? So I'm always going to be a Jordan guy. As someone pointed out, as great as LeBron, he's the GOAT. He's still wearing Jordan stuff. He's got a Jordan's logo on his shirt. So I don't know how you're not the GOAT if you're not wearing, if you're wearing the other guy's shirt. But no, all kidding aside. So the question was Curry. So would Curry, if he wins, and gets an MVP, some people are saying, does that put him in, at LeBron's level? Now, I like I said, I think Jordan's the GOAT, that I would say. But like I tell people, don't get your feelings hurt. I still think LeBron is 2 or 3 or 4. I mean, he's right up there in the top 5. Whether you like him or not, you got to respect what this man has done throughout his career, the consistency and the level of play he's been at, 37 years old or whatever. So I'm not hating on him. And I would say Curry is not at LeBron's level, and I don't think he ever will be. I don't care what happens.
I agree with you on that, but he might not be on LeBron's level, but at the end of the day, I mean, the man is on fire right now. Yeah. And again, I don't know if they're saying he was hurt. I'm wondering if they were sandbagging that, because how he's hurt and then runs out and drops 43 when he was questionable the day before. Chris DeGray said the Celtics haven't lost 3 in a row since December, but hey man, this is the playoffs. It's a different ball game. Look at we were talking hockey a second ago. The Rangers are up 2-0 and then got our asses rolled the next 4 games. And I think, again, whoever wins the next game is going to take it, and I think it's going to be Golden State. Hey, why don't you put a picture of yourself up, Mr. James? I'd like to see what you look like. Shut up!
That brought back Derek Brooks' prank call with Derek. I like that guy.
I like that guy. Actually, we got to get to that after we're done talking NBA and the Cowboys. I think you want to talk about the Cowboys at some point. We got to talk about crank calls.
Yeah, right? No, we'll get it. We're going to go down memory lane on a couple things, but it'll be interesting. Yeah, I don't think I'm agreeing with Chris. I think if the Warriors win tonight, I think the Celtics win Game 6. It goes back to the Golden State's home court. I think they close it out and win, but it wouldn't. To me, I like the way the Celtics play. They do have a physical game, not as physical as the times that we watched in the 90s and stuff, but they do have a little nastiness to them and a little grit. I like that workers mentality and things like that. So I appreciate it, Chris. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But the Celtics got their work cut out. There's no doubt. They had that opportunity in Game 4, and they let it slip away. Yeah. And you losing those games cost in the playoffs, because it swings everything. It's so funny because when you watch it, it's like when Boston wins, Golden State is dead. And then when Golden State wins, Boston's dead. So, you have this huge swing, just like you do in football. Football is not so much in the playoffs, but during the season, right? So, if Dallas beats, the Chargers, they're on the top of the world. They beat New England. But then if they lose, to whoever they lost to, then the world is crumbling and they're the worst team in the league. And Green Bay felt that all these teams, you just kind of go through these ebbs and flows during a football season where these other sports where you have these best of sevens, that you get more of that there where the season's so long, you don't really get overworked if a team loses a couple in a row during the season. If they got to play 80 games, who cares,
Ebbs and flows. Well, you got like a thesaurus in front of you right now?
I do. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to work on my vocabulary. I'm trying to be intellectual to the people and be a man they can rely on for information. So I'm trying to sharpen my game. Like I did. I added pieces to the cave. You take pieces out.
We have a plan for
Pretty
this. Pretty
soon you're gonna have a stool. You won't even have the Archie Bunker chair.
We're gonna repo this one. Steal mainly. Did you get that right, Mike? So no, you know what though? It's funny to bring up LeBron and they.
I just heard that.
Yeah. I was reading an article yesterday that they're saying if you look at Jason Tatum, now Tatum disappeared in the fourth quarter the other day, right? Nothing. I think he scored two or 3 points in the fourth quarter at home. So choke job at home. But they were saying if you compare his numbers to either LeBron or Kobe, they said his numbers and his stats in this playoffs, despite his inconsistency, and I think he's shooting 35 or 40% from the floor, are similar to that of LeBron's, historically speaking, and Kobe's, which I found surprising.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. So, but I guess tonight, the game's starting in a little bit. You guys make sure you tune to our show. Then you can go over there.
Of course, we got more to say. You can't trust New York fans. I agree. Now, I know Jimmy's a friend of mine. I've known him, 30 plus years, but I don't. It's hard for me to trust New York fans. I trust a few of them, very select few.
Well, wait a minute. Hey, Chris, what teams do you like? And we'll wait. Wait. Once he figures out who he likes this week, he can put it up.
Hey, you do not bad talk any of these fans, especially when they said I'm the man, because I have to defend them. So I can't allow I don't allow any of those shenanigans.
All that hype coming here making me look bad.
Man, Sea-Dog, you missed the hockey.
You missed it.
As you can see, Jimmy was in tears. You're gonna have to look back and watch that. The man was crying. We had some tissues out for him, but yes. Yeah, it was tough for him. So now let's go to what we really want to talk about.
But I did come out here like a man.
For you, he's a Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, but of course he's a Cowboys fan. So, and Rich,
oh god,
I got a lot of stories.
No wonder.
Rich Rui. Rich and I can go down memory lane one day. We'll get him on here with some stories, and we'll talk about the good old days in the Yugo. So, but anyway, but what I wanted to talk about is, now we got to break it in because I am,
No, I want to talk about Chris first. Wait a minute, I want to talk about Chris first. No wonder he can't give a real take on this because. He's a fan of the Celtics. He's not going to give you a real take. He's talking from his heart, not from his not from a peer.
You're saying a little team bias.
Yes, exactly. So you can come out with who lost 3 in a row and 2 in a row. Get out of here with that crap.
Well, look,
screw you and the Red Sox, pal.
Hey, if he's a fan of the Cowboys, you leave him alone. He likes. He could have came on here and said he's a New England Patriots fan. Then we would have to shut him off. So at least he was smart enough for the main team, which is football. So no, I wanted to get into this, and Jimmy, you can. I know you're not a Cowboys fan or the expert. So I wanted to start going into the season. We're going to do a position. I should say preview. I don't know. I did review. Maybe I should say preview because I want to preview where we're at in going into 2022. So we're going to review each position weekly, and I wanted to start off with running back for a couple reasons. We'll get serious for a moment. The first reason is running back. If people who know me and follow me, running back's my favorite as a kid. It's Tony Dorsett, it's Emmitt Smith. I love Zeke. I always loved the running back position, and the second reason is it made running back important is the Cowboys nation, the family got hit hard. This week with 2, unfortunate passings, one being, Don Perkins. And I was fortunate enough, in my office, I have a beautifully signed, Don Perkins ball that he personalized and put some stats on and stuff. And, he was 84 years old. So, he lived a great life. Yeah. And he was one of the very first Cowboys. A lot of people don't, know those early years. It was, he started in 60, 61. He only played 8 seasons. They didn't play a long time, back then in some of those positions, but he was a 6-time Pro Bowl. When Pro Bowls mattered. We're not talking about this Pro Bowl where everyone drops out. You get 15 Pro Bowlers at one position. It was when Pro Bowls matter. He's also an All-Pro. And he was one of the first, kind of big star of the running backs, for the Cowboys. And, it was unfortunate for his passing. The second one, is really near and dear to me because I've watched him play. My kids, were real young and watched him play. And that was Marion Barber. And, this is a tough one because, he was young. He was in his mid-late 30s. He played 6 years. He only played 6 years with the Cowboys, but he was, and Jimmy, you weren't a Cowboys fan, but maybe you can chime in on his play. But he was one of the most physical, exciting running backs. You talk about Marshawn Lynch in the later generation. This was the Marshawn Lynch before Marshawn Lynch, beast mode. He was just an exciting running back to watch. His physical play, it was just, it was tremendous to watch.
Yeah, it was, and I distinctly remember having him on my fantasy team couple seasons, and now he scored touchdowns. He was physical, and I think you're right. He was the precursor to that Lynch sort of play.
And he never got 1,000 yards. He made the Pro Bowl and didn't start one game. He always came off the bench. He was kind of like the closer, and he had 15 touchdowns or whatever it was. He had just under 1,000 yards, but he was so well respected. I mean, he made the Pro Bowl again when Pro Bowls kind of mattered. It wasn't like people backing out. He got selected in. He was a touchdown machine. The most memorable run everyone knows is in New England. When he got, it was a 4-yard run or 3-yard run, whatever it was. He got hit back 5 yards in the end zone. They thought it was going to be a safety. Ran around, ends up gaining 4 yards or something. He was just a great running back, and he hit on some hard times, and and I was hoping he pulled through. He did a signing a few months ago, and actually did one shortly before his passing. But and I knew he was kind of, he was trying to get his life together. He was hard as luck. So I had sent a couple things in to get signed. Actually, one of the white football over on that one side, I got signed, and I sent some cards in just for my personal collection to get signed, and I got a Pro Bowl picture over on that side. So I'm thankful that I did. I was hoping he turned that corner, but it's these injuries are no joke, and that's why I kind of get and I'll get to the running backs. I'm sorry, I'm kind of dragging it on, but. A lot of people complain about these guys' salaries and how they, they're making too much, or this guy's making too much and he's not producing anymore. Some of these guys only get so much opportunity,
right?
And especially the running backs, they take a beating, and they only get a little opportunity to get paid nowadays because they just, they use them and kind of pass on, and go to the next one. And so that's why I've always said, I've said it on Twitter and I say it on here. And I think Jimmy, you and I have talked about, I'm never going to begrudge or complain about someone's salary.
No.
If the owners want to pay it, hey, get what you can, because
that's right.
You don't know what your life's going to be like, and you don't know how much time you have. And unfortunately for him, it was a short life, and it was unexpected, and it was a tragedy.
Oh, a player's career is short enough, man. Let them make as much as they can, and like you said, I don't begrudge them. Somebody's give me that pay, I'll take the paycheck, right? But to your point, that's why I don't begrudge it, especially that position where you're getting your ass kicked every play, right?
Yeah.
So
so leading to that, you get that out of the way. But go ahead, Jimmy. You got one
I just want to say one thing. John Wetland. I don't know if that's the real John Wetland.
We got
back in the day. Yes,
I'm excited. We got celebrities.
I love it.
We've been interviewing some former Cowboy players. If you guys hadn't seen it, checked out. We interviewed 2-time Super Bowl champ Rod Martin. That's what the show does. We're looking for, we get the A-list, guests, and we expect A-list subscribers and followers and people making comments. So very exciting to see this kind of reaction.
And Mr. Wetland, speaking of A-list, we know the Yankees are A-list with the best record in the league. And we know the Red Sox are, probably C-list, D-list right about now. So,
yeah. All right. Let's get on it. Let's just finish this position review. And then if we got some open questions, we'll get it going. So, talking about the position. So, we got the running back position. You got Zeke pretty much in Tony Pollard. We're not going to, I'm not worried about the third. If you get to the third running back, fourth running back, we're pretty much in trouble. So, going into the offseason, Yeah, there's always a lot of heat on Zeke. He's getting paid a lot of money, like we talked about. Production has slid. He was injured,
He's hurt.
most of last year. I think anyone, who watched football, especially in a playoff game, knows that he should not have been in that game. He was not performing. He was not able to make the cuts. He was playing hurt. And Tony Pollard was our best option. And when we scored our first touchdown, Tony Pollard was the one that was in there. And it's no knock against Zeke. He just wasn't 100%. I think it's a luxury. People want to kind of get these running backs to fight each other. I think it's a luxury when you have the ability to have a dynamic duo and running backs that can support each other and run with that hot hand. So, but one of the problems that we've had, and I think you see it with Zeke, is the main problem we have is our offensive line, which hopefully they've addressed, and we're going to get into that. That'll be our next, preview and kind of review / to go over. But, anyone who's watched the game, when your offensive line is getting pushed back 2 yards, very difficult for your running back to get anything going. And they'll say, well, Mike, will say, well, Tony Pollard, he found a way. Well, Tony Pollard, if you look at the way they were in the box when Tony Pollard was running, it was a little bit different when Zeke was running. Plus, Tony Pollard, most all his big runs were going to the outside where he had the speed. And I think that's, if there's maybe a thing that Zeke's lost is a little bit that speed burst, but he still has the power. He still can be a punisher. As these guys got to be used together. So they need to make sure, going into this season, and they've talked about it with Tony Pollard, is how do we use Tony Pollard more? Do we set him up at a slot receiver? Get Zeke and Tony on the field at the same time. And I think that's where the recipe of success is, because you could talk about the passing game. And Jimmy, we've talked about it back in, the old days when we used to call up, the running backs, they're the engine that drive it. And if you watch when the Cowboys were successful, they're running the football, they're driving, and that opens up the play action pass. It opens things up for Dak Prescott. And I think we need to get back to that. I know it's wide open field and everything and this and that, but it still comes down to running the football, and you need a line to do it. The line's got to get better. And because we used to hear those old things, they go hand in hand when, Emmitt Smith is only good because he has all these great linemen. Well, look at most of those linemen that were there. Most of them were cast-offs. They built together and they gelled, and they ended up being great by having that, the unity and playing together a long time. But when Emmitt Smith didn't play, they lost. Derek Lassick, Sherman Williams,
wow.
No disrespect to them, but they didn't win when Emmitt Smith didn't play. Look at the record when Emmitt Smith didn't play. It was a losing record by a big margin. Same offensive line. So they do go hand in hand. You need to have the great running back, but the great running back also needs to have, doesn't have to be a great offensive line, but it's got to be a solid offensive line. And I think we had some issues, in the guard position, in the center position, getting pushed back. Not Zach Martin, of course, but we're talking about the guy that left. So hopefully Tyler Smith is going to be able to fill that void and give us an upgrade. Hopefully our center, Biotis, is gotten stronger. If not, maybe there's some competition in the draft that we got, but we just got to get some guys to step up. But when I look at our running backs and I know Cowboys Nation, some of them just, they're on Zeke, and it's whenever you get paid, it's on Zeke. And I agree with Cito, two different style of running backs.
Yeah.
They need to stay healthy. We got to feed them. And that's the name of the game. And it's a 17-game season to this point. Actually, you need to have extra running backs. So I'm happy. I think this is a strength of the Cowboys. We get that line right, but Zeke still has a lot of tread on his tire. And I think if we get the line right, we're going to make things happen. But I think in the same token, Tony Pollard needs to touch the ball more, whether it be receiver, running back, get them in there together. But the coordinator's got to find a way, and it's his job. So Kellen Moore, you need to step it up, is to get these guys going and make them productive. And I think that takes the pressure off Dak Prescott, takes the pressure off some of our receivers, open things up. And I think that's what this team needs to do to get to that next level.
Yeah, and I agree with you, man. If you just have to have a decent offensive line, right? You don't need all pros at every position. You just need, like you said, if you're getting pushed back, that ain't going to work out for you, right? Yeah. And at the end of the day, having two different style running backs that's a good thing, man. You got your smash mouth, then you got your guys going to, go running wild off the outside.
Well, how many
You know,
teams have
speed
had it?
guys.
You had Tampa down here. You had Dunn and Allstott. Then you
Yes.
had, Thunder and Lightning. You had, with the Giants when they had their Super Bowl run.
Back in the day,
As much as it pains me, you need to have, especially in this game, you need to have that change of pace. But you got to find a way to utilize. You can't give Tony Pollard 5 touches. It don't work. But you can't give Zeke 8 touches. It don't work. Zeke needs to carry the ball and get going. But you got to get Pollard in there. The coordinator has got to find a way to mesh them together and to utilize both their skills and maximize the opportunities we have with them.
And it's funny because you have a clear-cut backfield right now, and we the Falcons don't. We have a questionable offensive line, but again, I guess back to what I've said numerous times. I wonder if they're going to use Patterson and try to use him in a Deebo Samuel type situation. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
I won't know this until preseason starts.
Yeah, but. That's basically all I want to do. I'm not going to get deep in the weeds. I'm not breaking down film. I tell you with my eyes, and my eyes tell me that these guys got to get the ball. Zeke's got some tread left. I'm not being a homer to Zeke. I love Zeke, and I know he had a down year, but he still can be a productive running back. We get this line right. Tyler Smith has some nastiness to him, and we'll get into that down the road. Maybe he's got a little bit of that Eric Williams, mentality from back in the day, and once he gets going, I think it's good for him to be in the guard position. Hopefully, Tyron Smith, I know it's not, is he going to play the whole season? It's how many games he's going to miss. That's kind of the story. But hopefully, at least early on, to get Tyler Smith his feet wet, Tyron will be able to hang on and stay healthy early on to get him going.
Yeah. And guess what? Camp start in a month.
Yeah. So we still got some downtime, but that's why I wanted to start this kind of position review. But, now, we go to a couple things of, John Wetland was on the C list, huh?
Yeah. When John Wetland, wasn't he shaving the ball a little bit with some?
He was. Hey, you're not cheating, you're not trying.
That's right. Exactly.
And then then Chris wanted to know if you're a Giants or Jets fan, but I guess, so he should know that you're a Falcons fan, right?
You should know, buddy. Come on. So
the man he's got to be a diehard Falcons fan. He's lived through the misery and the torture, and he still stays true. I give him that.
I do, exactly. And some of you probably don't know why I'm a Falcons fan because of Deion. When I was a kid, I was a Jets fan, and then this guy Deion Sanders comes on to see him prime time. Deion. He's playing for the Yankees and he's hitting inside the park home runs, running over catchers. And all of a sudden I'm like, man, that guy's pretty cool. So when he ends up in Atlanta and he's playing, baseball and football in the same day and all this, I said, that's when I jumped on the Falcon bandwagon, 1989.
Right. And we Cowboys, we had Deion, for 5 or 6 years or maybe it might have been a little bit longer, but it was just, he was still the best position player, athlete, game breaker.
Athlete.
I mean, for us, he even played receiver. He played both ways for a full season, which is not easy. I mean, he caught, he was our number 2 receiver that year. And
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So, he was an amazing athlete, and he was just, generational type of player.
Yeah, back when we can have fun, when he can go high stepping down the sideline and dancing all. But now
I love you rub your nose in a little bit. I mean, he used to, he would show up, but that's, I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan. That's the way we grew up, and that's growing up in South Florida. But, both of us growing up down there. That's what you did. We talk crap, we did this, but again, it never got violent. It never got, you dish it out. You got to be able to take it, and there's nothing wrong with some good nature. Trash talking. Speaking of,
but that what?
Yeah.
One last thing. But it gets back to these are grown men. If they can't take somebody running their mouth, then that's a problem. Then you're lacking testicular fortitude in that case, right? People should be able to deal with getting jawed at, getting running mouth. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. But
good.
But I wanted to jump to because we talked about trash talking and doing crazy things, and my brother ran in to a guy who talk show, has a talk show. Back in the day, we used to listen to his radio show. He used to have a TV show here in Tampa.
Yes.
And Rock Riley, we'll give him a shout out and a plug. And my brother's like, yeah, we was talking about the old show, and he had mentioned about, we used to get a lot of, crank calls and stuff on there. And then he came through and said, hey, me and my buddies were the ones that were doing it. And we had some classic, crank calls on there. Hopefully we're trying to find the tapes. We're hoping to find some of the old tapes and play them. But I'm going to reach out to Rock Riley. He's big into Tampa sports. So I think with the, Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Dallas Cowboys, it's going to go a perfect situation. Bring a man in and he's going to be coming into the cave, and we're going to have a drag out conversation. Hopefully we'll be able to make that happen.
And back in the day, I mean, the shows, we enjoyed watching his shows just for the sake of watching it.
Great entertaining.
I think now he might be doing a Tampa Bay Lightning pregame or something like that. I know he covers them, but yeah, we it's nice when we're remembered 26 years later for phony phone calls. Right?
I know. I did, but he was very specific on some. That's why we have to find the tapes.
Yes.
It's very, and Bo Jackson was a great athlete. I mean, him and Deion Sanders, absolutely.
Yes.
You're splitting hairs. I know Bo, I don't know. Bo and Deion, as far as being two sports stars, I think both of them, if they focused at one sport, would have been a Hall of Famer in either one. Bo was great in baseball, but I mean, his average, look at his average, wasn't the best either, but he was dynamic. I still never forget when he threw out Harold Reynolds on the wall in Seattle and just a straight shot. And Harold Reynolds is like looking around trying to figure out where the hell that ball came from, and he got gunned out.
What happened?
Yeah.
Or the time he ripped off a home run from us running up the wall.
Kansas City, Bo Jackson and Deion were just unbelievable, just straight athletes. Whatever they would have done, I think they would have excelled in any sport and would have been a Hall of Famer in any sport.
And one of the most iconic plays in sports was when he ran over Boz.
Yeah.
Remember that on Monday Night Football?
Oh yeah. It was. Well, we talked to Rod Martin about it,
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and Rod Martin, if you watch it, you'll see Rod Martin on the sideline. He's running when Bo went in that tunnel. He was running down the sideline with him, to go greet him and hype it up. But yeah, very fortunate some of these athletes that we've been able to watch. It's just been very lucky, especially with Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders. You can probably go down the list of King Griffey Juniors and stuff like that. So
Coach Sanders.
And it's tough because like nowadays, I don't know how you are. I used to be able to, I could tell you every player. Baseball, I could tell you every player, that every lineup. I couldn't tell you 5 players in the Major League Baseball anymore. It's just changed so much. The player movement and this and that. It's just I know the really big guys, but I couldn't give you the Tampa Rays. I couldn't name you 5 guys.
Well, and that's the thing with free agency. It's just such a different animal than it was 25 years ago. There's so much more. Baseball is the one that started the big free agency boom and players moving around. And it's tough. And like you said, it sucks when you get the jersey. So I tell my kids, you're going to get a jersey, just get a plain one or get your name on the back or something like that.
Well, that's a good thing with the Yankees is they don't put names on jerseys.
Exactly.
So you pretty much, the Yankees are great. With the Cowboys, you got to kind of figure it out. I remember one time with the Cowboys, I had a Antonio Bryant. He's the forgotten 88. He was the 88 before, Dez and after Michael Irvin. And so I had to, it was a really cool silver. I don't know. It was like a silver blue. It was half silver, half. It was a really cool jersey. And, they got rid of him or he left or whatever happened. And so sometimes I would keep the jerseys, and after a while, I just throw it because I didn't want to wear jerseys of players unless if it was a Hall of Famer, it wouldn't matter. But he was decent, but he never, had that potential. He did better when he left Dallas. And I got rid of it. And then a few years later, we drafted Dez Bryant, number 88. I could have wore the jersey. I would have saved myself, $70. I would have been right where I need to be.
I know that's the thing. I'm rolling around Vegas with like Mike said earlier, on a work/pleasure trip. And so I was rolling in my Wayne Gretzky jersey from the ring, and he only played with us for a few seasons. But 106 degrees, rolling around Vegas with the, yeah, that was great. Might have had a few pops.
I forgot Gretzky was there. I forgot.
Yeah, it was
Gretzky
a short
was in the
stint.
Rangers.
Yeah, it was cool. They were getting him and Mark Messier back together on the same team, but we didn't go anywhere. I mean, it was more of a look. I think we didn't make it to any. I don't even think we made the Eastern Finals with him, but it was just pretty cool having him on our team.
You didn't win the Stanley Cup with Gretzky?
No, Messier we did, but not with Gretzky.
Wow. Yeah. See, I would have, if you would have told me to bet $500 on it, I would have took you up on it. What a bet.
Let's bet right now.
I thought Gretzky and him won. They won after he left?
Messier and Gretzky won together on the Oilers.
Yes.
Gretzky goes to LA. Edmonton wins again without him, right? Then basically half the team from Edmonton goes to New York, and we win in '94 with Messier and Glenn Anderson and Adam Graves and all these guys. Like I said, literally half of the team that played for Edmonton came to New York. So then, that passes by. And then Gretzky came in '97. It was much later.
Oh, he came after.
96 or 97, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. After the
fact.
But it was still.
So I remember because that was one of Rock Riley's line. The great one on the second line.
The great one. So that would have been right. 96. Yeah, that's when it was.
So, well, we're gonna have to get. I mean, we're going down memory lane and talking about some old things, and the other. I'll tell you, the other thing it was great to hear is on my vacation. You know how you have your friends, and I mean, just best friends, and life unfortunately kind of gets in the way, and time just passes by. So I got a call from my buddy, our friend, both of our friends, is an Eagles fan, and he must have caught the show where I was. Bashing on the Eagles a little bit because all the hype and stuff. So we talked for like 30 minutes on the phone while I was driving up to Georgia. And it's a cool thing when you have friendships like that you don't talk as often as you should. And just like I said, life gets in the way. Your kids, you kind of, you live your life through your kids when they're growing up. And then I think it maybe comes back full circle. But I talk to some of these, these great friends that, have grown up and you don't talk to them much, but man, when you talk to them, it's just like you guys were hanging out and talking yesterday. Yeah. And I think that's always a great sign of just, true friendship and, more than just casual fan. It's the ones that last. So it's really cool.
Well, and it's fun and it's good to hear because actually I got to catch up with him too at some point. And it's funny because I think we mentioned this before. Mike and I, last time we talked, we haven't spoken in about a week and a half.
Yeah.
So when we get on this, when we start doing this, there's nothing, there's no, script, nothing. We just basically know what we're going to come in talking about.
All right, well, now we got an off topic. My man Sea-Dog. I've invited him on here as well to give a perspective of Cowboys Nation. I always like to, try and show some love back to Cowboys fans. What? I'm still waiting on the confirmation, but he had a question regarding AEW. You're the wrestling,
I love AEW.
Wrestling expert.
Yes. So the big thing with AEW has been the MJF situation, whether or not to shoot or to work. But I didn't hear about what's going on with Jeff Hardy.
Oh, you missed it? Well, then you're not going to be any good for this man. You've been on vacation.
That's
you
the problem.
You got to start updating yourself. And
I get home. We're talking about kids, right? So I get home from vacation. I'm home a day, and then my kids got a hockey tournament out in Rhode Island, which is about 3 hours from here. But it was cool because we stayed with family. That's a good part.
You got a DUI. You got a DUI. I got no sympathy for that.
Nope. You know what? Neither do I. I mean, you think he'd know better. I mean, his brothers had enough.
Third DUI.
Wow. I mean, it's unbelievable.
There's just too many. There's too many opportunities with Uber and everything nowadays. It's just there's no reason for that.
And his brother probably vouched for him coming in AEW. Jeff got canned from WWE a few months ago, and this is why. I mean, Vince knew, and it's too bad. He got a second chance, probably making pretty good money, and he's got to do something stupid like this. And like you said, call a cab. Calling a cab.
Yeah, call what's the best cab
Central.
Central. Call Central, man. Freaking hook you up. So, but lastly, I'm gonna give my pick of the week. When I'm on vacation, you go down memory lane and you start looking for all these movies to watch. So I went deep in the archives. So I'm going to give my, a Siskel and Ebert preview or a suggestion for this channel to watch. And I watched it yesterday. Flamingo Kid. Do you know the Flamingo Kid?
I haven't heard that in decades.
Sweet Ginger Brown. It's Matt Damon's in it. He's a kid. Matt Damon's probably 19 or 20 or something. But he's basically he lives in New York, and he gets a job working in the working on the beach as a parking attendant. And then he goes in. But like some of the guys in there, Fortune is in it, and he is Fortune is played by the lead actor in Cool Runnings, the Jamaican who is the main guy, and then you have one of my favorite actors who was in Summer. He was in Summer Rental. He was the captain. I forgot. I don't know names well, but he's in it. It's just the father of it. I'm just telling you, you guys trust me, especially if you're in my age bracket. But even if you're not. It's an awesome movie. It's great lines. I'm a movie line guy, and I brought back. I was telling my brother, I was like, some of these movie lines that we do now, I forgot that's where they came from. I hadn't watched the movie in so long, but I've said those movie lines, where Matt Damon told his daddy, better than the dump we live in, and he backhands him and said, "We live in a dump." And I do that to my kids all the time.
Yes.
So, I mean, I forgot all this stuff.
It becomes second nature, right?
Yeah. Well, so that's my pick for you guys. That's your homework assignment. Go watch The Flamingo Kid. It's a great movie. It's especially summertime. It's a good summer movie.
On a footnote, it's not necessarily pick, but after the Ranger game the other night, I had a few more cocktails, and I was the last one up that night. And I'm flipping through the channels, and Days of Thunder was on.
That movie? That's a good one.
That's a good one. I said, man, I forgot this is a pretty damn good movie.
It's good.
Go out and hit the pace car. Hit the pace car with 4, because you hit every other damn thing out there. I want you to be perfect.
Yeah, that one. And K-Lou, K-Lou is. We always talk about this when he's going in. What are you guys doing? He's going into the pit. He goes, "No, I can't do it right now." He says, "Why not? We're eating ice cream."
Ice cream. And that was the best, because Randy Quaid, the manager, I'm out there wooing the sponsors and kiss them in the ear. And you know what you do? You made me look like a monkey of football out there.
Well, the funny thing is when we were on vacation, I was in Cowboys Cave North up in the mountains in a cabin. And so we obviously did some tubing, we did some whitewater rafting, we did a lot of fun stuff, but got to watch some movies. And I had all my, nieces and most of my nieces and nephews. Were missing a few of them that couldn't make it. And we're watching movies and doing stuff. And even my nephew, who's 20, he'll be 22 in December. And we're just watching some of these movies. Like, man, he goes, Uncle Mike, they don't make these movies no more. No. Like I love the good comedies, those old school, we're watching Great Outdoors and things like that. They just don't make those, those funny comedies much anymore. It's too bad.
There's no slapstick. Nothing's original. You're not going to see anything like that anymore.
Yeah.
And we'll have to talk. Well, maybe we'll have to have the pick of the week each week.
We might. I'm gonna. It's summertime.
At least still football.
Downtime. We gotta watch some movies. So anyway, I know we ran long. We had a great time. We're just, like I said, we're just shooting the stuff. We had some topics, but we want to interact. We appreciate you guys. Definitely like, subscribe, share. Football season's getting going. You're going to see things turn up when football season going. That's where we get, that's when we're both charged up. Right now, Jimmy's really charged up with the hockey and the basketball. I'm kind of feeling my way. But once the NFL and college get going, we're going to be in full gear. We're going to be moving hard. So I do appreciate it. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share. Jimmy, you got any parting words for the week?
No, you know what? It's crazy when you think about it. Because like we said, football camp starting a month. There's probably next Monday will be the last time we talk about basketball for the season. Week after will be the last time we talk about hockey for the season. We talked a little bit of baseball too. My Yankees over 700. Thank you. And but no, I think that's it, man. Great show. Yeah. Nice talking tonight, and thanks for everybody for tuning in.
All right. Well, I'll leave it with this. Dominic, producer of Tag Nation, activate the machine.
down up and down the field. So now, why don't you guys pack it up, get out of my stadium, now that you just admitted that we're the greatest, and stare out of my face. Now can you dig it?